DNF Duel. Everybody's seen footage from the official trailers, the gameplay during the betas, and even people who've gotten the game early. Main criticism we keep hearing? Game's too easy, right? Well, day 0, there's already some really interesting depth to the game that may not be immediately apparent. So here's some quick tips that will get you off to a good start and have you dominate your online matches right out of the gate. To start off with, Awakening is DNF's comeback mechanic. It can instantly swing the momentum of a match. Some characters gain brand new moves or more favorable animations, some characters gain access to 90% damage combo routes, some get health buffs, some inflict debuffs. It's crazy. So you want to immediately learn how to make the most of Awakening state whenever you're in it, depending on the character that you selected. But more importantly, you want to keep your opponent out of Awakening. This means that if they have half health, and you have a bunch of resources to do your super damaging 400, 350 damage combo, something wild like that, you probably shouldn't do it. Characters enter Awakening below 30% health. You can tell by the little stylistic flourish on the UI how close they are to entering Awakening state. So you gotta be aware and try your best to go for your big damage routes when you have a guaranteed kill on the opponent before that 30% mark, or at least get them as close to death as possible. Close enough so that they could die to like a poke or a grab, thereby limiting the time that they get to spend in Awakening and stifling their comeback mechanic. Also be considerate of certain characters that can force themselves into Awakening with certain moves that reduce their own health, so good luck with them. Next up we have MP consumption. You start out the match with 100 MP and you gain more MP as you lose health until you reach the cap of 200 MP. Now in the early state of matches, your MP consumption is something that you have to watch out for since the best skills like DPs cost more than half of your starting MP. If you use the simple inputs for special moves with just the directional buttons, there's a penalty on the recovery of MP that stalls it out for a second or two, compared to executing the technical input like quarter circle or Shoryuken motion. When you execute the technical input, you'll see an indicator appear showing good on the screen. This is something useful to watch out for to see if your opponent is using simple or technical inputs. If they use the simple inputs, then you'll know that they'll take longer to get that MP back, which could be useful info in certain matchups. But the most important thing here is the exhaustion state. You can actually use any MP skill even if you do not have the required MP available for consumption, but you will deplete the meter and go into exhaustion where you don't build MP back for a little while. But check this out. The exhaustion state doesn't seem to be fixed. It functions more like an invisible negative meter. So if you have 10 MP and use a move that costs 40 MP, you'll be essentially at negative 30 and get back into positive faster than if you were to use a move that costs 90 MP, which would effectively put you at negative 80. That's a lot of math, but just know if you use higher MP consumption moves with a lower total MP, you will take longer to get your MP back because you'll be exhausted for a long time. Also, another reason that you want to use the technical input as often as possible because you don't want to go into exhaustion and also have the penalty from the simple input. Conversions. A lot of people are thinking that much of the depth to the combat in DNF revolves around conversions, and that very well may be the case. Conversions allow you to cancel any move outside of your down MP skill and can enable some wild combos. It also unlocks some devastating block pressure for characters like Berserker, for instance, who can abuse the conversion mechanic. And that negative MP meter that I just explained, that comes into play here as well. Because the amount of MP that you get from the conversion depends on how much white life you sacrificed. So if the amount of MP you gain isn't enough to get back over 0 from the negative value that you're currently at, the conversion actually won't allow you to use any more MP skills in that combo. And again, conversions depend on having white life. Basic A, B, and S attacks do a small portion of their damage as white health when they hit, but they don't do any damage on block. MP skills, on the other hand, exclusively do red health damage on hit and wipe away pretty much all of your accumulated white health. You may have noticed the pop-ups when you watch gameplay saying critical hit, brutal hit, fatal hit, and wonder what that is, if that's like an RNG thing. No, that just happens in gameplay whenever somebody with white life gets hit by an MP skill attack and loses all of their white health. Similar to the strategy against other players entering Awakening, you want to make sure you limit the total amount of opportunities other players have to use conversions. And this is pretty easy. Always end your combos with SP attacks so that you can eliminate their white health, and make sure you end block strings with basic attacks so as to not inflict wide health as chip damage. Now, this obviously gives an innate advantage to characters with long-range normal attacks and those with safe string enders, even up close. Some characters like Kunoichi can only really be safe by using metered attacks to end block strings and give the opponent access to conversion. Same thing applies to characters whose game plan revolves around putting an obstacle on the screen to try and guard break you. And speaking of the guard break mechanic, the guard meter located on the side of the timer tells you how close you are to your blocking being rendered ineffective and eating a pretty damaging combo. A couple of things here. Some characters are literally based on being able to wear you down and guard break you, even to the point of their awakening ability being increased guard meter damage on block. Their block strings literally are their combos. On offense, you always want to make sure you know how close you are to breaking the opponent's guard, because you don't want to be surprised and miss your opportunity for a high damaging free combo. Defensively now, you want to make sure you remember the guard cancel mechanic. While blocking, you can press forward and conversion to execute a guard cancel, which interrupts the opponent with the same animation used for your character's down S attack. This is typically an anti-air attack of some sort for most characters' movesets. Some are good and some are great, and some don't seem so good. But what's important is that you can break out of a lot of these crazy guard break setups that you may have seen online that some characters have, for the most part with the guard cancel mechanic. Something to watch out for is that a super quick player may be able to cancel basic attacks into DP as soon as they see the guard cancel, or some other strike invulnerable move, which will beat out this escape, so be careful what moves you try to guard cancel on. And lastly, DPs. Every character has one. Most of the cast has your regular Shoryuken type attack that is invincible from being hit out of. Some take a bit longer to start up than others, some have different trajectories, and a bunch of other variations with pros and cons that are sure to be discovered by the community over time. Already we can see that Crusader's DP isn't invincible. It just has super armor, which allows you to grab him or use a multi-hitting attack to break it, severely weakening his defense against heavily pressuring characters. Some DPs that start cinematics might be great counters to characters that put traps on the screen for setups. Some characters don't even have moves that hit as their DP. Ghostblade has an invincible dash, and Grappler has a counter, which you can hold, but it's vulnerable to low attacks. When you select the character that you want to take online to play against other people with, it's very important that you understand the limitations of your moveset, and the DP is a major aspect of that. So I urge you to learn what you can get away with against specific characters who may not have an answer to your game plan. And that just about covers a few of the deeper complexities to DNF Duel's combat that I've been able to observe in my few days with the game. Thanks for checking out the video. If you'd like to see more in-depth analysis, I'll be posting specific character guides and more in the coming days. And if you want to check out some live gameplay, give me a follow on Twitch right here, and I'll see you in the chat. Peace.